Are you ready for the next blackout? Or are you just hoping it won't happen to you? Because here's the truth. In the United States alone, the Department of Energy reports that power outages have doubled in the last 2 decades, and more than 70% of Americans will experience at least one blackout every single year. Sometimes it's a few hours, sometimes it's days, but either way, when the lights go out, the panic sets in fast. And let's be honest, I'm not talking about some far-fetched doomsday scenario. This is the reality millions of us face during storms, grid failures, or heat waves. That's why today we're breaking down 8 prepping items you'll wish you had during a blackout to protect your family. Not luxury gear, not fantasy bug-out toys. These are the practical must-have essentials that turn a blackout from a crisis into just another night at home. And trust me, if you don't get ahead of this now, you'll be wishing you did when your fridge is rotting, your phone is dead, and your neighbors are knocking on your door. 8. Backup power banks. Because dead phones equal dead options. Let's be blunt. Your phone is no longer just a phone. It's your lifeline. It's your flashlight, your emergency contact system, your source of critical updates, even your digital map if you're stuck navigating in the dark. Now here's the thing. During a blackout, cell towers often go into backup mode themselves, and while they can stay live for a few hours to a couple of days depending on the battery bank they run on, your personal phone battery doesn't last that long. In fact, the average smartphone battery lasts only about 11 to 14 hours under normal use, and that's before people start panic scrolling news and weather apps non-stop during a crisis. This is why having multiple high-capacity power banks isn't just a convenience, it's survival. We're not talking about those cheap little lipstick chargers you find in the bargain bin. We're talking about 20,000 to 40,000 milliamp-hour monsters that can fully recharge your phone 4 to 6 times over. That's the difference between staying in communication for 3 days versus being cut off within 12 hours. And here's another overlooked point. Power banks are also perfect for keeping small medical devices like CPAP machines, hearing aid chargers, or even insulin coolers running. People underestimate how fast panic sets in when loved ones with health conditions suddenly lose access to their lifelines. Invest in 2 or 3 quality power banks, rotate their charging every month so they don't degrade, and label them for family members. Because the second your home goes dark, every person in your house is going to reach for their phone, and without power banks, you'll be fighting over that dwindling battery percentage like it's gold. 7. Portable water filtration systems. Because tap water isn't guaranteed. A lot of people assume, well, even if the power goes out, I can still drink tap water. Wrong. If you live in a city, that water is pumped to you using electric pumps, and if you live on a well, it's powered by, you guessed it, electric pumps. The second the grid fails, your water is on a timer, and depending on your location, you may have anywhere from a few hours to a single day before the pressure drops and nothing comes out of that faucet. Now here's the kicker. The CDC says every person needs a gallon of water per day, not just for drinking, but also for cooking, washing, and sanitation. A family of 4 burns through 12 gallons in just 3 days. And no, a case of bottled water from Costco isn't going to save you long term. That's why a portable filtration system, the kind backpackers and military use, becomes non-negotiable. I'm talking about Sawyer Minis, Life Straws, Katadyn pumps, the kind that can filter 100,000 gallons of contaminated water down to safe drinkable levels. Think about it, that murky pond 2 blocks away, the rainwater running off your roof, or even the water in your toilet tank can all be turned into safe hydration if you're prepared. During Hurricane Harvey, thousands of Texans ended up with boil water notices, but with no power, boiling wasn't an option. Those with portable filters, they stayed ahead of the game. And remember, you're not just prepping for your family, you'll have neighbors, friends, or desperate strangers knocking when their bottled water runs out. You'll wish you had 1, 2, or even 3 filters, because in a blackout that drags on, water becomes the true currency of survival. 6. Solar-powered generators. Because gas runs out fast. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, generators. When most people think of blackouts, they rush to buy a gas-powered generator, and yes, they can be lifesavers. But here's the inconvenient truth. During extended blackouts, gas disappears from stations in less than 24 hours. The Colonial Pipeline hack in 2021 and the Texas freeze in 2021 both proved this. Lines wrapped around stations, fights broke out, and pumps went dry within hours. And even if you had gas stocked up, storing it is dangerous. It degrades in a matter of months without stabilizers. And lugging heavy cans in the middle of a crisis is the last thing you want to do. That's where solar generators flip the script. These aren't the dinky panels you see powering garden lights. Modern solar setups like Jackery, EcoFlow, and Bluetti can run refrigerators, CPAP machines, laptops, even power tools, all while silently recharging from the sun. No fumes, no noise, no risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. Sure, they take longer to recharge, but blackout survival isn't about running your house like normal. It's about keeping essentials alive. Imagine still having a fridge cold enough to save $300 worth of groceries while your neighbors are throwing theirs in the trash. Imagine running a fan in sweltering heat when everyone else is suffocating. Imagine charging all your family's devices every day while others are rationing their last 2% battery. Solar power generators have come down in price by 30% over the last 5 years, and with weather disasters now affecting 1 in 3 Americans annually according to FEMA, investing in one is no longer optional prepping, it's the definition of being ahead of the curve. People underestimate how quickly a blackout spirals into a medical emergency. Think about it. The lights go out, you trip on a step, cut your hand on broken glass, or a child slices themselves opening a can of food. Normally, no big deal. You'd run to urgent care or ER. But in a blackout? Those same ERs are slammed with accidents, carbon monoxide poisonings from people running generators indoors, and stress-induced cardiac events. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, hospitals reported a 25% spike in emergency visits within the first 24 hours. That's why your blackout kit needs more than a box of Band-Aids. You need a real trauma-ready medical kit with wound closure strips, tourniquets, burn gel, antiseptic sprays, and prescription backups if you rely on critical meds. Even something as minor as an infected cut can turn deadly if left untreated for a week without antibiotics. And here's where exaggeration meets reality. Most Americans don't even have a working thermometer in their house, let alone a blood pressure cuff or a pulse oximeter. But in a blackout, knowing whether grandma's breathing trouble is anxiety or low oxygen could be the difference between panic and proper care. Stock nitrile gloves, eye wash, electrolyte packets, and cold packs. If you have kids, double up on fever reducers and children's meds because shelves empty during every crisis. A blackout isn't just about light and food, it's about preventing the small accidents from becoming life-threatening. If you think a blackout only means sitting in the dark, you're missing the real risk. It's medical emergencies piling up in a world where help may not be coming. 4. Fire safety gear. Because candles and chaos don't mix. Here's one nobody talks about until it's too late. Fires spike during blackouts. Why? Because people resort to candles, kerosene lamps, or jerry-rigged cooking setups indoors, and one little mistake can burn down your entire house faster than the power company can flip the grid back on. In fact, the National Fire Protection Association reports that candle-related fires triple during extended outages. Think about it. Your family is stressed, kids are restless, maybe someone knocks a candle over, or you try cooking on a grill indoors to save time. Suddenly, you're not worried about no electricity, you're watching your entire survival cache go up in smoke. That's why fire extinguishers aren't optional, they're mandatory. But not just one little kitchen extinguisher, you need at least one in every major room, especially near bedrooms, kitchens, and any place you plan to cook during the outage. On top of that, invest in fire blankets, cheap, reusable, and perfect for smothering flames before they spread. Smoke detectors with 10-year batteries are another must, because when the grid's down, so are your hardwired alarms. And let's get real, neighbors aren't coming to save you, and the fire department might be delayed or overwhelmed. Having a couple of extinguishers plus a clear family fire escape plan could be the difference between inconvenience and tragedy. Remember, when prepping, you're not just planning for lack of power, you're planning for the chaos people create when their routines collapse. Fires don't wait for the lights to come back on, and if you aren't ready, you'll wish you had taken this step seriously. Non-perishable food stockpile. Because your fridge is a time bomb. Let's get real. Your fridge is not your friend during a blackout. The USDA states food inside begins to spoil in just 4 hours without power, and your freezer only buys you about 24-48 hours if you don't open it. That means hundreds of dollars of groceries will rot into a biohazard before the lights even flicker back on. And when your stomach growls, you'll realize something brutal. You can't cook frozen pizza in a dead oven, and that microwave is a useless brick. This is where non-perishable food saves lives. I'm talking about shelf-stable meals that don't rely on refrigeration, cooking, or complex prep, things like canned beans, tuna, chili, peanut butter, protein bars, powdered soups, and freeze-dried meals. You need calories, protein, and nutrients that can fuel you through stress and activity, not snacks that leave you hungry an hour later. A family of 4 burns through over 6,000 calories a day. Multiply that by 3 days, and you need 18,000 calories minimum just to tread water. That's 30-plus cans of chili or 20-plus freeze-dried meals. And don't fool yourself, stress eating is real. Studies show disaster victims often consume 25% more food than normal due to anxiety and boredom. That means your week's worth of food could vanish in 3 days. Stockpile at least 2 weeks of shelf-stable meals, and rotate them so nothing expires. Throw in a manual can opener because nothing's more depressing than staring at cans you can't open. In a blackout, food isn't about luxury, it's about energy, morale, and survival. Don't let hunger break you before the darkness does. 2. Cash and backup currency. Because digital money vanishes with the grid. Here's something people never think about until it's too late. When the power goes down, so do ATMs, credit card readers, and online banking. In fact, during the 2003 Northeast blackout, banks lost access to systems for days, and stores reverted to cash-only policies within hours. Think about that. You're in line at the gas station, but your debit card is just a useless piece of plastic. you've got a wallet full of nothing. This is why cash becomes king in a blackout. Small bills, 5s, 10s, 20s, because nobody is breaking a $100 bill when their register doesn't even work. But don't stop at cash. Consider backup currencies too. Silver coins, prepaid debit cards, even gift cards for major retailers can become barter items when electronic transactions collapse. Studies from FEMA show that 40% of small businesses close temporarily after long power outages, but the ones that stay open, they'll only trade in cash. Imagine being the one person with actual money in hand while everyone else argues with the clerk. That's real power. And here's another layer. Gas stations often still have gas in the pumps, but without power they can't run. Some independent stations run on generators and will sell if you've got cash. Same for corner stores trying to unload perishables before they rot. If you've ever watched society's thin veneer peel back, you know desperation sets in fast. So stash at least $500 or $1,000 in small bills in a waterproof bag. Because when the grid dies, the real currency isn't crypto, it's cold hard cash. 1. Security and self-defense, because darkness breeds desperation. Now we've reached the most critical item of all, security. Let's not sugarcoat this. When the lights go out, crime spikes. Police data from the 1977 New York blackout recorded over 1,600 stores looted and 1,000 fires set in just 24 hours. Why? Because the darkness erases consequences. Desperate people do desperate things, and your supplies, your food, water, fuel, and medicine are worth more than gold when the grid is down. That means protecting your family isn't just about flashlights and food, it's about defending your home. Start simple. Reinforced locks, solar motion sensor lights, battery-powered alarms. These act as deterrents and buy you precious seconds. But in a worst-case scenario, self-defense tools become essential. Whether it's pepper spray, a baseball bat, or yes, even a firearm if you're trained and licensed, having a way to defend your household can be the difference between safety and chaos. Don't overlook psychological security either. Even posting a beware of dog sign or keeping a big flashlight by the door sends a signal. This house is not easy pickings. FEMA and DHS both acknowledge that community breakdown during disasters is a real threat. During the Texas blackout of 2021, police reported a surge in burglaries targeting powerless neighborhoods. Ask yourself, when the world goes dark and sirens fade, who's protecting your family? Don't wait until you're fumbling with a deadbolt while strangers rattle your doorknob. Build layers of defense now. Because prepping isn't just about surviving the blackout, it's about making sure you still have everything you prepped for when the lights finally come back on.